back in 2010, it was Grammy weekend. And we were doing a photo shoot with Cass during the day. Puff and Cassie were dating. There was a party.
Diddy, I love you, Diddy!
And she was staying at the Beverly Hills Hotel. The Beverly Hills Hotel is like a one-bedroom suite. I fall asleep on the couch because I don't go out. And he storms in. Where the is she? I like wake up all of a sudden like what the who are you talking about? And then they go into the room, shuts the door. All I hear is get the out of here, get the out of here. He's like on a rage. He's being Puff. And at this point, I'm just thinking of her safety. And so I'm packing her stuff up. Once he leaves, I see the aftermath on Cassie. She has knots on her head, bruised eye, busted lip. It was horrific. And so all I can think of was, we need to get back to my house. You need to get the out of here. We can't call the police. We can't go to the hospital. We're scared of Puff. We're always scared of him. If we call the police, what would happen? He's a very powerful person in the business, and he can do things that will make you go away. And many people are afraid of him till this day. So what were we supposed to do? We just had to like fix whatever was happening at that moment. And that's kind of like how the business is. I called my friend who's a doctor, and I'm like, you have to take care of Cass, because this is not okay. You have to be a witness to this because we can't call anyone. But I felt like this has happened before because she was so nonchalant about it. Cassie and I never spoke about that incident after. It's like family business. We just don't talk about it. What I witnessed was in 2010. And then in 2024, I watched the CNN video and I was completely triggered because I did not know that this was going on for all these years.
Tonight, music mogul Sean Diddy Combs.
Sean Diddy Combs.
Sean Diddy Combs facing a slew of allegations, including rape and sex trafficking, in a stunning new civil lawsuit filed by his longtime partner, singer Cassie.
FBI agents raided his homes in Los Angeles and Miami.
The embattled rap mogul is in custody after he was arrested last night in the lobby of a luxury Manhattan hotel.
Cassie coming forward was a tipping point.
Several new accusers coming forward against Sean Diddy Combs.
Accusing Combs of abusing, threatening, and coercing women for years.
He was very good at standing in the limelight without us actually taking a look deeper and seeing who he is and what he is about.
The thing about hip-hop, it's not just a music. It's a lifestyle.
Combs has built an empire. There's his Sean John fashion line, his Ciroc vodka, and the TV network he founded.
He didn't change to adapt to the world. He changed the world to adapt to him.
Here he is, a shining example of what he likes to term Black excellence. Meanwhile, there's all this violence and trauma happening in the background.
I realized I wasn't the only one.
I have a one-of-one story that no one else has.
That reckoning, it's coming.
Everybody is demanding to know, how far did this go?
Time is up.
Sean Puffy Combs' power has led to one of the most successful careers in the history of American pop. And it has led to some really, really, really awful other things. I've been knowing Combs for just about the entirety of my career as a journalist and as an editor. I was the first woman editor-in-chief of Vibe magazine. A large reason for me sharing my story with everyone today is because it's my duty. And I'm also sharing it because of my unique position in music history. This is where I'm supposed to be. It was very difficult to work in the music media without having to deal with, or work with, or hang out with, or negotiate with Sean Puffy Combs. It was impossible. The first time I had a real conversation with him was a cover shoot for Vibe, and that would have been right around September 1997. It was to be the December-January double issue of Vibe magazine. Everybody was at the photo shoot. A bunch of people from Vibe, a bunch of people from the Bad Boy universe. The idea was to get Mr. Combs into some angel wings. After the shoot, Mr. Combs wanted to see the covers before they were published. It was policy for us not to show covers to anyone before they were published. He called me at my office. I told him again, we don't show the covers, we don't share the story. I told him that I wouldn't be making an exception. And he said that he would see me dead in a trunk if I did not show it to him. I said to him, you need to take that back. He said something to the effect of, you know, he wasn't taking shit back. So then I said, I'm calling my attorney. And my attorney called him to say that if he didn't immediately fax over an apology, my attorney was going to reach out to law enforcement. And I think it took about 90 minutes to 2 hours, and I received that faxed apology. What I've only recently come to realize through the members of the staff at that time was that he had actually, in the days before, come up to the Vibe offices with 2 tough guys looking for me. In order for my safety and in order for the magazine pages to remain intact, I was shuttled from office to office until the coast was clear and waited outside, standing on the corner with the proofs, the pages of the magazine that were being prepared to go to print. And then my managing editor came down and got the pages from me and put me in a cab to Brooklyn. But the thing is, sitting right here, right now, I have no memory of any of that happening. When our research chief was telling me this story, I was just like, literally, I don't remember. I was telling her. And she said, of course you don't. You blacked it out. You were terrified. Because I don't remember it right now. It's hard to look back. I continued to work with him. I continued to be cordial with him, to be invited to parties and go. Sometimes it's very hard not to feel complicit. I wish that things were different. Is he an angel? Is he a devil? It's a question that I've had since we put him on the cover in the wings. I didn't know, but we might know now. And you hate to see it.
As a reporter, Danielle's story really resonated with me. What's really unusual is the extent that Diddy went to. He was determined to try to bully her, and this was relatively early in his career. And so it definitely appears that Diddy continued to get more brazen. We now know behind the curtain there were demons, but you can't escape your demons that easily.
When I think of Puffy, I think of New York. Puffy is the Horatio Alger, up from nothing to something, the rags to riches story.
Diddy was born in Harlem to his mother Janice and his father Melvin.
Puff's mother Janice Combs, baby. Could dance, could dress, sharp as a tack, fly, hustler, go get it, ambitious. I think of her as the queen of that energy.
Unfortunately, his father, Melvin, passed. Sean didn't have any memories of Melvin. He might have had one or two.
Melvin died when he was a toddler. Diddy has often spoke about the loss of a father figure in his life, just this desire to know who Melvin was. When Combs talks about his father, you can tell in his voice, in his face, that he really mourns the loss of not having his father in his life.
You know what I'm saying? I always wanted to hear like the sound in his voice. From the beginning, I've always had like tragedy around me.
Janice was a single mother and had to make it work.
Janice said, okay, we're moving out to Mount Vernon, that suburban area that black people with some money, middle class, are able to move to.
I met Sean when I was 6 years old, and we lived 13 steps from each other, one staircase. I didn't have a sibling, so that's what we became. First impression of meeting him, this kid is different. He was a young boy dressed like an older man, tailor-made. And I didn't know kids this small could really like be this fly. So when he stepped outside, other kids looked at him like, what's that? He got everything we don't have. And people don't like that. So now he's a product of bullying. He had a presence of somebody you could just roll over. And that's what people tried to do. Simple as that.
At an early age, it was instilled in him that he can't be seen as weak, and the only way to respond to weakness, or this idea that you're being perceived as weak, is to respond with force.
My mother was, I guess, raising me for the real world. She was always told me if somebody hit me, make sure I hit them back harder. Make sure they never hit me again. And make sure I them up.
Moms made sure, listen, don't come here talking about you got beat up. Don't come here talking about somebody took something from you. I don't want to hear none of that. Go get it back. You can't come in my house until it's right. So he had to make a choice. He had to man up. So I'm going to make more than you. I'm going to do more than you. I'm going to be more successful than you so I could call the shots. He was groomed for success.
I was really inspired by him growing up. You see this guy, he comes from Harlem, he puts hip hop on the global map, then he grows into a business mogul. And so before all of these issues came to light, there's not a negative thing that I would have said about Diddy.
This version of Sean Combs that we're seeing today is a complete departure from this image that he curated and built himself up. I first began covering Sean Puffy Combs right after Cassie filed her lawsuit back in 2023. The biggest question for me was, has this happened before? And as we began investigating and speaking with more people, we uncovered a history of abusive behavior that dates back to Diddy's days at Howard University. There just seems so much more to the story.
Take one, Mark.
I was a student at Howard University in the late 80s, and I am here today to share what I know. Sean Puffy Combs was well known on campus. He would ride on the back of cars, throwing out flyers for parties. If you wanted to go to the hottest party, then you saw and heard Sean Puffy Combs. I am absolutely nervous about sharing what I've seen him do to another human being. He's powerful, and he's scary. This event, honestly, is so vivid to me. The night began with me in my dorm room. We heard someone yelling and screaming. So we pushed up the window just enough to get a little idea of what was going on. We saw that it was Sean Puffy Combs, a fellow student. And he was screaming, "Get your ass downstairs, come downstairs right now." And he had taken his belt off and he was whipping the wall. Mad, angry. They were connected somehow romantically. And when she came downstairs, timidly and scared and really not knowing what to do, he started beating on her, whipping her with that belt. She's taking it. Now we're involved because now he's abusing her. So we're yelling, "Get off of her. Stop hitting on her. Leave her alone." And he's yelling back, "Mind your business, mind your business." But we're yelling back, "Get off of her. Leave her the alone." He pushes her back into the doorway of the dorm. We don't know what's going on in that space. We can't see. Whatever he's doing takes a few minutes before he actually stops whatever he's doing, and then he leaves alone. And she follows out a little bit behind that. Our 18-year-old selves yelled for her. Maybe could have stopped it. Maybe we should have called the police, called our dorm mother, got somebody else involved. The front desk was downstairs. They didn't do anything. Nobody really actually came to her rescue like we probably should have. It's very important to tell that young woman's story because he was never held accountable.
Instead of becoming tarnished in any way, his time at Howard becomes a key part of his mythology.
Howard didn't just change my life, it entered my soul, it entered my heart, it entered my being, my spirit.
When he got an honorary doctorate, no less, I was a little bit hot about that. How would you honor someone like that?
And even though I only completed 2 years here at Howard, it was the greatest 2 years of my life.
Howard is where Combs saw firsthand how much sway he had with people.
So despite what people saw on campus, he's still able to succeed.
Like it or not, rap is here to stay.
In the late 80s, when hip-hop was growing, that's the exact same time that Sean Puffy Combs was figuring out who he was going to be.
I was working with some artists at a company called Uptown Records. I heard that there was a young guy helping some of the artists to define themselves.
His name was Sean Puffy Combs.
Uptown Records was one of the early black labels, and Andre Harrell was at the helm. I can understand why Puffy wanted to work with them, because they were the it back then. And Puffy dropped out of school to follow his dream.
When he did his internship at Uptown, he clearly had a ton of ideas. And so they gave him an A&R job. Mary J. Blige, who had been at Uptown and had not been catching on, they did not know what to do with her. So here comes Puff, and he's putting all these pieces in place around her, also shaping the image. He gives Mary J. Blige hip-hop beats to sing under. Real Love was this massive hit. And they called her the queen of hip-hop soul. But as much as we loved Mary, it was clear right away, Puff is at the forefront of sonically making that happen.
Puff Daddy, A&R director of Uptown. My brother, let him know how easy or how difficult or how fly or how complicated it was to put this jam together.
Really, it was no problem because all my black brothers and sisters came together.
You start to see the rise of Puff in the sort of hip-hop world, and he's also doing party promotion.
Sean said, shoot, I'm gonna have a celebrity basketball game with all the famous people playing. I'm gonna go convince Heavy D to be my partner in it, and we're gonna do it at City College.
My brother was at City College. And so the reason I came to tell my story today is because the incident, it was simply tucked under the rug.
I've been trying to make sense of such a tragic event for years.
All right, 98.7 KISS FM. You know, there's a big basketball game tomorrow.
You gonna be there, baby?
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna be crowded. It's gonna be packed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people coming to play in the celebrity basketball game. Jodeci, Boyz II Men, Brand Nubian, LL Cool J.
Everyone you knew in all boroughs were talking about City College that night. I was 17 years old. My brother, Dirk, really wanted to go. I remember Dirk showing me the ticket. Dirk was someone to look up to. Out of our neighborhood, there was only a few of us that actually went away to college.
Combs was dating Misa Hilton at the time. My sister Sonia and Misa were close friends. I was the big brother. Because we were so close in age, we had a real close bond. She was going to become a pediatric nurse. At the time, I had 2 young daughters, and she was totally hands-on with her nieces. She loved them deeply. The day of the event, she said she wasn't going, but Misa reached out to Sonia and told her that Puffy had a ticket for her, and she decided to go.
Day of City College comes, I'm a part of Sean's staff. One thing Sean knew how to do was promote. And the build-up to City College was so phenomenal, it was almost like God's coming to town. The gym filled up in like a blink of an eye.
They were still selling tickets at the door, but there's still a huge crowd outside of people with tickets.
Still waiting.
The bouncers or whoever said, it's over. No one else is getting in. And that's when the door to the gym was closed.
So now the crowd that saw that the doors were closing, many had tickets in hand, they decided to push. And it caused a stampede going down the stairs with no way to enter the gymnasium with the 4 doors closed.
The crowd went crazy.
The door is broken.
They broke the doors.
Door's broken. Will anybody get in now?
And a bunch of people just rushed down those steps and pushed them against those doors.
I'm not quite sure what door Misa went through, but she wasn't with Sonia.
My brother and his friends are in the staircase already, getting pushed.
Sonia was behind one of the young girls that was with them, and her face was in her back. Imagine being packed like sardines. And if you're packed like this, there's nowhere to go.
They had to literally pull the door open, crush someone opening the door, and then start pulling people out into the gym, one by one, from one door open.
You see just a wave of people falling on the floor, fighting to breathe.
I have 4 people that are unconscious. I can't get past. I can't get them to breathe. I've been doing CPR on them. I have 3 people that are in shock. I have 2 people with broken bones. We need like 5 ambulances. We have about 7 people reported that aren't breathing. I mean, we have an emergency over here.
You got PD outside not doing anything.
You'll see in the footage, Sean Combs, shirt open and walking around, just stressed out.
I look over, he's over there pumping chests and breathing into people's mouths. And Sonia was one of the people who he was trying to resuscitate.
Dirk wasn't getting enough oxygen to his brain. When they were doing CPR on him, his chest was going down. It hit the floor. And then my mother called, and then that was when I found out he was dead. She said, "He's gone, Jason."
Could y'all please leave in a peaceful manner so nobody else gets hurt? It is over.
My mom and my dad and myself went back to City College to identify Sonia's body. They showed us Polaroids, and someone tried to go over the top of the crowd, and clearly in the Polaroid, you can see the boot mark in Sonia's head.
I think Puffy bears a lot of responsibility for what happened that day because the doors remained closed. They could have been opened.
White Heavy D. Myers and Sean Puff Daddy Combs pointed the fingers at everyone but themselves.
Whatever must be done to ensure that this never, ever, ever happens again.
I know that he and Heavy D did not intend for that day to end that way.
Puffy clearly wanted to throw the biggest, best event, and he promoted the hell out of it. But he didn't do enough to protect the crowds of people that came out.
There was a lawsuit for all the things that happened at City College.
This was a huge case. The litigation lasted years. When my mother called me and told me that the lawyers are talking about a settlement, it was like, take this money and shut up. Really, nothing mattered to me other than keeping Sonia's memory alive. And Puff wasn't hearing me, and that created a lot of tension between me and him. I said, was Sonia your friend? He didn't want to answer the question. She got the ticket from you, man. These interactions started to make me physically sick. Clearly, he had no interest on helping me keep Sonia's memory alive, or the other 8.
The City College incident for Puffy was a turning point in how people began to feel about him.
He asked one time, when is this ever going to be behind me? And I said, the more good you do, this will get further and further down on the list of questions that you're asked.
Diddy was able to put it behind him because he was good at creating stars and making hits. He was succeeding, he was thriving, he was winning.
In time, he becomes too big to be working with Andre. And so Andre fired him.
His gear was placed in the hallway, and they said, come get your gear. And I was like, whoa, so I guess I won't be hearing from him anymore.
When you become a millionaire at 19, you probably go crazy, act a little obnoxious. It was such a disappointment to me because I got fired by the first person that believed in me.
And then I remember somebody saying, Puff is having a meeting with Clive Davis about starting a label. It was said in a way of like, that is so ridiculous.
He's like the white godfather of black music for the last 50 years. He sees an opportunity to bring Sean Combs' energy and gives him his own signature label, Bad Boy.
It was incredibly significant for a young black man to have his own label. And Puffy was in his 20s. That was incredible.
Right away, Bad Boy is different than other labels. This is coming from the energy of the guy at the top. I remember going into Bad Boy, and there was words painted on the wall, sleeping is for losers.
Yo, bust your ass and I'll go back in the studio. Y'all just pay for me to go back in the studio, yo, and tell me exactly what you want.
I was his first publicist. One day, Mr. Davis called me at my desk. He said, LaJoyce, from this day forward, I want you to garner press for Puffy. And I also understood the assignment to protect the black boy genius. Puffy was such a visionary. Everything that he touched would eventually turn to gold and platinum.
It is going, it's on, dog.
Every single day, and I mean with no exaggeration, Puffy would call me between 2:15 and 4 o'clock. What's going on? What's happening with the artist? Who's going to be appearing on what television show? I have an idea. And he'd leave it to you to execute, by the way, in 48 hours.
Bad Boy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, all right.
Big, yeah, we got Big, we got Craig Mack.
The year for Bad Boy is 1994. Craig Mack drops Flavor in Your Ear.
Flavor in Your Ear was something that I made up. Yeah, I sampled some crazy sounding, look, listen at that. I was like, dum, 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 dum. Then on the hook, I threw that loud siren in. It's special. I knew it was special. Puff was like, yo, I need some tracks for my new artist, Craig Mack. So I showed up with this tape. He played it. He said, yo, I will cut you a check for that right now. Know what I said, right? Sold.
Here comes a brand new flavor in your ear. Time for new flavor in your ear. I'm kicking new flavor in your ear.
And then Notorious B.I.G. puts Bad Boy in the map. What Biggie does, it gives the label and it gives Sean Combs street cred.
So Combs's ideas with Biggie was, how can we make something that's very rowdy and of the streets, but make it so that everyone likes it? How can we do that within one song? And then you go to Juicy.
I never thought it could happen, this rapping stuff. I was too used to packing gats and stuff now.
Even though he's rhyming about standing on the corner, selling dope, we might be at a pool party. We're gonna make it look good and glamorous and fun. Those many juxtapositions in Biggie's repertoire, to me, are what made him work.
Puff was definitely like, let's elevate the culture. A lot of it, in retrospect, was about elevating himself. He's in the videos, he's on the songs. He's in the concerts, on the stage. He's very much part of the story. He understood that I represent the brand. So when you see me, you see the Bad Boy brand.
But the West Coast was a legitimate threat to East Coast hip hop. The West Coast folks are selling many more records. This moment is where we start to see this intercoastal battle.
Puff realized that now hip hop is war. We fighting for number one. We playing real dirty. And a lot of people got hurt. Bad Boy was as hot as fish grease. It couldn't be touched, but more money, more problems, right? Everything was heightened. Backstabbing was heightened. Dishonesty, the distrust, the unloyalty, all of that shit started to unravel.
Suge Knight, he ran Death Row Records on the West Coast.
Two very, very different versions of moguls. Suge Knight was a legitimate scary figure.
Suge Knight goes back to jail.
Knight had been on probation for a 1992
with assault and battery.
And Sean Combs, who felt a little bit more cuddly to people, right?
The East Coast, West Coast beef at that time took on epic proportions.
And the two stars that we think about in that moment, who represent these two very different coasts, are really the Notorious B.I.G. and Tupac Shakur.
Tupac was a megastar, rapper, icon.
What a lot of people don't realize is that Death Row was trying to set up Death Row East.
They really thought they could come and take New York. And they tried.
It's unsettling to watch this Tupac video, knowing a short time later what would happen.
We're coming to the East Coast to overthrow the government y'all got right now, which is Bad Boy. Believe in Death Row East. Believe in that, for real.
That was a bold move. The feud was so bad at that time that you might be in trouble throwing up the W on the East Coast.
I could have been a casualty of the East Coast, West Coast beef. I came up in the music industry as a concert promoter. And one night I was at a place called PJ's up in Harlem. Some cat comes in promoting Death Row East. He has these bright white t-shirts and he's giving them away. And I was like, okay, I like that. Let me get one. And I says, I threw it on. Later, we're going downtown. I'm with Lance Calfee, who is my security. We get to the club, me and my Death Row East t-shirt. It was packed. An hour later, I come out of the club. We go across the street to my Jeep. We get in, I'm in the driver's seat, and Puffy pulls up in a sports car. He's in the passenger seat. And then he said to me, "What's up, bitch?" I said, "Puff, man, I don't want nothing to do with you, man. Keep your drama to yourself." I really tried to de-escalate the situation. He said, "Nah, you a bitch." He aligned his beef with Suge Knight and Death Row and the West Coast with that t-shirt. So it's like, how dare you jump to the other side? How dare you promote Death Row? And we proceed down the block. His car veers over and cuts me off and forces me into an island. Lance and I both jumped out of the car. A shot blasted off. Lance yells, "Gun, gun!" And I don't know who shot it. I leap over the island and now it's a car chase. And I'm fighting for my life at this point. All I know is that I need to get away. And so I'm driving, I'm going down the one-way streets. I'm on a sidewalk at one point. It's a high-speed chase through Manhattan. Just thank God I escaped that situation.
What we see is this massive overreaction and tendency towards brutal violence. If he could fly off the handle that easily over such a small perceived slight, what else was he capable of?
You asked me earlier, like, why I'm here. Like, I almost wouldn't be here, period. My whole future would be erased. Dude, you're a menace to society. My story is just a piece of the bigger puzzle of his mayhem.
Sean Combs has been the figure more associated with death, tragedy, and brokenness than any mogul.
He ran on fear and intimidation. It was abuse.
Combs wants what he wants when he wants it.
He was saying things like, turn around, let me see that ass.
All of a sudden, I just seen him out of nowhere, just punch him.
And God said to me, be still, you're about to get hit.
I truly believe monsters are not born, they're made.